Part 2 of Episode 4, Agile Project Management. Welcome back to the Lean English Podcast. I am your host, Tom, and this is the second part of our episode on Agile. If you are just joining us, in Part 1, we covered the differences between traditional waterfall project management and Agile. We talked about the Agile Manifesto's 4 values and 12 principles, the sprint and release cycles, and the basics of Scrum. So check that out if you are interested. For today, we will finish our discussion on Scrum by outlining each role's duties. Then we will highlight other types of Agile, like extreme programming and lean Kanban, before we introduce you to information radiators, the product backlog, and discuss how companies should prioritize the services they provide. Before we end, we will define the minimally viable product and how it differs from the minimum marketable feature. So we have a lot to cover and not much time to do it. Let's go. As I said before, the product owner is the customer's representative inside the company. They provide the vision of the product. They gain consensus from the team on the best way to deliver value as soon as possible. They ensure the product backlog is created and is elaborated for the team's understanding. This means they can put the team in the customer's shoes and show them the value in the features. They set reasonable priorities and expectations for each release and sprint. While they do not get involved in day-to-day development operations, they set the goals that need to be hit. They collaborate with and work through the Scrum Master to help the team understand the market implications and delivery window. Sometimes a release needs to be synchronized with other events, and any delays would be detrimental to the client. The product owner defines the parameters for the minimally viable product and helps the team understand the definition of done. The Scrum Master is trained to be an expert in team management, not necessarily in software development. Their role is described as a servant leader because they are responsible for enabling the team and maximizing their output. They need to be humble and let the team get the glory without letting ego get in the way. They need to be collaborative and not competitive with the team, looking for win-win situations. They must be committed to the team, even if they are not full-time Scrum Masters. Scrum Masters have no formal authority, so they must find other ways to be influential. They must negotiate and leverage their influence to get the things they need. Although they are not technical experts or coders, they are experts in Scrum and understand the technical environment. Unlike other project management teams, an Agile development team has much more control over their work. But with that control comes added responsibility. First, they must commit to delivering during the sprint and reject the desire to gold-plate the work. They need to be comfortable receiving feedback and sometimes criticism from the client during the sprint review and putting their opinions aside. Second, the team suggests which stories to work during the sprint planning meeting, provides time estimates of each user story, and finds the simplest way to develop functionality. Third, they must remain present with the team. Co-locating with the team improves osmotic communication and develops team camaraderie. Fourth, Agile prefers feature teams over component teams. This means hiring developers who are good at everything is preferable to hiring developers who are great at only one thing. In Agile, a feature is an end-to-end functionality built by cross-functional teams, while a component is a modular, self-contained piece of code performing a specific function within a larger system. Feature teams are critical to Scrum success because they don't just focus on how one component works. They focus on how the component they are developing functions inside the whole system. We have talked enough about Scrum. Now let's find out a little about other types of Agile. While they all follow the values and principles of the Agile Manifesto, they choose to highlight different tools and techniques to give Agile users more flexibility when dealing with certain requirements. Extreme programming provides a strong emphasis on the technical aspects of software development. There are too many practices to name here, so we will cover them in our next slide. Suffice it to say that other versions of Agile gladly borrow them for their teams. Feature-driven development focuses on delivering functionality to the client using the domain object model. They use 5 activities to accomplish this: develop overall model, build the feature list, plan by feature, design by feature, and build by feature. Lean Kanban blends Lean's philosophy and the Kanban pull system of work in progress with Agile principles. Projects with a lot of uncertainty will have a product backlog that changes frequently. To be more responsive, Lean Kanban constantly updates the work in progress so the team can choose new tasks as soon as they finish their current work. This way, they do not have to wait for the end of a sprint to change the project's direction. Crystal is a lightweight Agile approach that emphasizes team collaboration and limited documentation. Projects are color-coded for size and risk: clear and yellow for small projects with low risk, maroon and blue for large projects with high risk. These are some of the best practices developed for extreme programming that are adopted throughout Agile. We talked a little bit about test-driven development already and how it accelerates software development by writing an automated unit test before coding begins. This way, developers can write the code with the test in mind. Continuous integration. As new code is written, it is immediately adopted into the whole for automated tests and to learn what functionality is still needed. Colored lights are used as end-on lights to show if the integration of the new code is successful or not. When the code is broken, the red light is illuminated. When the code integrates seamlessly, the green light shines. In pair programming, 2 programmers write the same code. One writes, the other performs quality checks and suggests improvements. This helps junior developers learn better ways to write and design code from senior developers, reinforcing the team's camaraderie and communication skills. Refactoring continuously improves code by eliminating redundancy and unnecessary functions and increasing code coherency. The more frequently refactoring is performed, the fewer problems the team must solve in the future and the easier the code is to maintain. All these principles promote coding standards when the team shares best practices, formats, and styles for writing code. As team members learn from one another, their ability to solve problems grows. Here is an example of a lean Kanban board. The columns are labeled to do, tasks that are waiting to be started; doing, tasks that are currently in work; and done. The rows hold the tasks per project that move from left to right depending on their status. As I mentioned earlier, Lean Kanban works best when there is a lot of change and uncertainty. The product owner can add tasks to the to-do column as requirements become available. This allows the team to always have work to do, reducing the time the team spends away from work writing code. At the end of a sprint, for example, the team may have completed all the work they committed to and will have nothing to do. And as an information radiator for leadership updates, provide a Kanban or whip board to show the team's progress. Simplicity. The art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. Einstein said, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." The more complexity in the code, the harder it is to understand, modify, and debug. The best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. In Waterfall, the project manager determines the workload, but not so in Agile. Agile teams are given freedom to determine how to get the most work done. This knowledge is very valuable as it helps the team determine their own daily priorities and schedules for how to do the work. The more teams work together, the more they develop the processes that work best for them, given their strengths and weaknesses. At regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. This aligns with the spirit of Kaizen, adopted from Lean. There are mandatory meetings after each sprint that provide a safe environment for discussing what went well and what did not go well. This is another use of face-to-face communication in Agile. The most popular type of information radiator is probably the burn-down charts. They provide a daily update to the work that the team is performing. Here we see that the team has 120 units of work to complete for the 4-week sprint. The yellow columns that appear just above the date indicate how much work the team accomplished on that day. The orange line indicates how much work is remaining. The blue line shows the amount of work that should remain if the team is completing tasks at a steady pace over the sprint. Any columns that appear to go into the negative indicate the amount of rework that the team must accomplish. You can see a corresponding rise in the orange line for those dates. This chart provides enough information to satisfy the desire for management to get an update on the team's progress. Now that we know how work is performed and assigned, let's talk about how the product backlog is constructed, since it is at the heart of Agile's requirements processing. Agile teams need to be able to see the forest for the trees. That is to say, they should see how the user story they are developing fits into the larger scheme of the product. Remember, user stories are the main unit of functionality for the project. As an administrator, I need a shared calendar to organize company meetings. One way to do this is through themes and epics. A theme is a set of related user stories that can be combined and treated as a single entity for ease of estimation and release planning. Epics are large user stories with low priority. They are too big to implement in a single iteration and therefore need to be disaggregated into smaller user stories at some point. And user stories can be split if they are too large to handle in one iteration. Those stories, in turn, will be broken down into tasks, which are easier to estimate and complete. For example, imagine you are developing an ERP system for a company. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. The theme may be, as a CEO, I need an ERP system to run my company efficiently. An epic may be the part that allows the operations manager to run the supply chain, with a user story being the piece that allows the inventory manager to keep track of all their parts. Now that we know how the product backlog is constructed, let's discuss what the team needs to complete their work. As we discussed earlier, the Agile project begins with just enough information to get started, and adapting to the customer's needs is one of Agile's pillars. The sprint review allows the product owner to complete the definition of done, an important technique that was brought over from Lean that defines the product requirements before the customer accepts delivery. In the beginning, the customer's ideas may be vague, but as they review the team's work, they refine their expectations and provide more detail. The product owner will define the final product, and the team must agree on the definition for each sprint. All work must add value until the product meets this well articulated definition. The only time the team is allowed to gold plate the product is after the minimally viable product has met the definition and the team has time to try to impress the client. Now you ask, Tom, how does the team determine what will impress the client? Here are two tools that teams can use to brainstorm some ideas. Expectation confirmation theory states that there are four types of customer experiences depending on their expectations. An experience can be negative or positive depending on the outcome. Furthermore, the experience will lead to confirmation or non-confirmation. For example, if you eat at the same restaurant and order the same thing every Friday, then you will have a positive confirmation experience if your meal is exactly what you expected and you have enjoyed it. Your expectation was confirmed. But if your meal is not what you expected and you did not enjoy it, it will be a negative non-confirmation experience. Your expectation was not confirmed. After telling a friend about your disappointment, they advise you to try a new restaurant, but you have low expectations. However, the meal is fantastic. You just had a positive non-confirmation experience because you got what you did not expect but really enjoyed it. The next week, you try another restaurant. With low expectations, you order your meal and it is not delicious. So you have a negative confirmation experience. Of these experiences, positive confirmation experiences give the customer what they expect. You meet the definition of done. Your customer is satisfied and will continue doing business with you. However, a positive non-confirmation experience delights the customer because they get something they did not expect. This makes new customers loyal to you. The Kano model works in much the same way. It says there are three types of requirements. Basic needs are features fundamental to the product. All cars have seats, a steering wheel, and an engine. But adding more of these features eventually reduces customer satisfaction. Your car only needs one steering wheel. Two would be confusing. Then there are performance needs features. The more you get of these, the more satisfaction the customer has. Think of efficiency performance. The more miles you can drive per gallon of gas, the happier you are. Then there are the delighters. These are features in a car that the customer did not expect. Think of the first time you were able to use Bluetooth in your car. Or if you are old like me, the first time you drove a car with power windows. Creating delighters is how we went from home phones to cell phones, and from cell phones to smartphones. Teams should work with the product owner to identify delighters whenever possible so they can create positive, non confirmation experiences for their clients. Now let's talk about two things that are confusing to some people: the minimally viable product and the minimum marketable feature. Developing a minimal viable product is a way for the team to get important feedback from the customer. It is essentially an early model of the final product, very basic in terms of functionality, that tries to show the customer the direction in which the team is moving. It is not a piece of the whole, but a simple version of the whole that helps the team complete the build, measure, learn feedback loop. So, in this example, where a woman starts with a scooter, then rides a bike, then a motorcycle, and finally a car, we see a progression toward the final product. The customer starts with the basic requirement: I need a mode of transportation that is faster and easier than walking. They don't know all the details about what they will eventually need, but this is how it begins. The product owner takes that requirement to the team and they build a scooter. The scooter works perfectly well and fits the requirements the team received. But the customer tests it, and although she likes two wheels and a handlebar, she finds that she would like to sit down while traveling. With this feedback, the team returns to work and produces a bicycle. Again, the customer takes it for a spin and realizes that she likes being able to sit down, but she would like to go faster. The team returns to work and decides they need to add a gas engine to the frame. This time they build a motorcycle for the customer. The customer gets on and starts to ride and immediately crashes it. She likes going fast, but this leads her to believe she needs something more stable. She likes sitting down when she travels. She still likes going fast and feeling the wind in her hair and the bugs in her teeth, but for her safety and the safety of everyone else on the road, they build her a convertible car. At each stage, the team offers a product that meets the basic needs of the customer, but eventually create the final product using the build, measure, learn feedback loop. And I hear you. Hey, Tom, build, measure, learn sounds a lot like plan, do, check, act that we learned when we talked about W. Edwards Deming and his influence on lead. Could this be another example of lean's influence on agile? Yes, you got it. You've cracked the code. Creating a minimum marketable feature is like creating the minimally viable product in that the team is trying to deliver value to the customer as soon as possible. However, the minimum marketable feature is a completed product that is ready to be used or sold, not a model. It contains the smallest set of functionalities that provide the most value to the customer. The release backlog should contain the highest priority feature sets so that the customer receives the most value as soon as possible. Eventually, the customer will receive a product that meets most of their requirements, and they may decide to take delivery of the product early. This helps them beat a competitor to the market and limit unnecessary work. Think of a product that you own that has useless functionality. For example, my washing machine has 12 features, but I only use 2. all those extra features are worthless to me. I would prefer a washer that has fewer settings that costs less. There are 5 steps to create the minimum marketable feature. First, determine what the MMF needs to be. You will eventually settle on a small set of features that are highly valuable to the project and will be the team's top priority. This is not usually the final product, but the most valuable first piece of the final product that can stand alone and be delivered early. Second, introduce Slack. Slack is some additional time the team will need to deal with quality issues, scheduling conflicts, and other problems. After your team has been working together for a while, you will be able to determine accurately their velocity or how much work they can accomplish in a sprint. After you calculate how long it will take to complete all the MMF tasks, add a little time to the end of the project. Third, manage change. Take the feedback from the customer and reprioritize the features on the product backlog. Fourth, improve the MMF. If everything goes according to plan, you will complete the MMF in the time you calculated, and you will be left with a high quality, viable product and the slack time. Rather than doing nothing, add some delighters. The cost, time, and quality will not change. Fifth, the team can accommodate the new features because of the slack that is built into the timeline. This allows the team to underpromise and overdeliver. So, in our example from before of the customer who decided on a convertible car, the team will tell the customer they can build it in 6 months, but it will actually be built in 5 months. If the customer suddenly informs the team that she wants to take delivery as soon as possible, the team is in good shape and can just provide the minimum marketable feature, the base model of the car, in 5 months. But if not, the team should take the final month to add features that they know the customer would want. Now, what should be avoided is rushing to create a low quality product with extra features in 5 months and then try to fix all the bugs in 1 month. Take your time to create a high quality product first and then add new features. And if you find there are some bugs, please do not try to cover them up with superficial improvements. No one wants a product that looks good but does not function properly. Well, that wraps up our episode on Agile. A copy of the transcript for this episode is available on our website at leanenglishconsulting.com. Leave a comment below and hit the like button if you enjoy this episode. And as always, if you find that you need more in-depth process improvement or language training, send me an email or give me a call. Thanks for listening. Until next time, be good, and I'll talk to you later.